the nice thing about weaving, if you give yourself enough warp, enough of those vertical threads that are set up on a loom, Meagan, you do this very well. You can weave one piece and in your mind formulate a variation, an alternative, a next. And that's when experimentation can happen. That's when progression can happen. That's when a risk can really happen.
This is A Line Around Your Thoughts, a podcast that centers on conversations with artists, writers, musicians, and creatives from around the Inland Northwest. I'm your host, E.J. Iannelli. Just before the opening of the new Tidal Loop exhibition, which is running at Eastern Washington University until April 3rd, I went down to the EWU Gallery in Cheney to meet with textile artists Allyce Wood and Meagan Smith. Allyce hails from Seattle, and Meagan is based in Chicago, but the two of them were invited here for this joint exhibition of their work. And that pairing makes for a nice juxtaposition. Meagan tends to weave using modern digital tools to create her visually striking pieces, whereas Allyce often incorporates materials and methods that have personal or traditional significance. The three of us sat down together to discuss weaving as a process and as a craft, some of the individual works on display in this exhibition, and why looms can be like beanie babies. Before we get into it, if these weekly deeper dives into the regional art scene are important to you, you can support A Line Around Your Thoughts as part of our Patreon community. Head to patreon.com/ALAYT to learn more about how to keep the conversation going. Or, if you'd like to become an episode or a season sponsor, get in touch through our website at alaytpodcast.com. Remember, too, that you can get updates and engage with us on Mastodon at alaytpodcast@pnw.zone, on Blue Sky at alayt.bsky.social, and Instagram at alayt_podcast. And now, on to the EWU Art Gallery. So welcome, Allyce, and welcome, Meagan.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
And I should also probably say welcome to Spokane, because as we know, you are visiting artists and your work is visiting us as well as part of the EWU Tidal Loop exhibition. So I hope your arrival in town has been a smooth one.
Oh, absolutely. It's great to be here on the east side.
Yeah, I thought it was pronounced Spokane. I was saying that for the longest time until Allyce corrected me to Spokane. And I was like, oh, geez.
No, yeah, I'm glad you did. Yeah, it's a typical kind of outsider mistake.
Okay.
So another advantage of kind of bringing artists in is that then they can become ambassadors for Spokane as opposed to Spokane.
That's great.
And so you got into town last week and came to hang the exhibition. And so how many days have you been here in advance of the exhibition to hang it?
We've been here 3 days total. We arrived on Friday, kind of settled in. Saturday was our first day of install, and we kind of just looked at the layout, figured out where everything was going to go, started hanging up half the work. Sunday, we finished up day 2 of install, and here we are day 3 just finessing and talking to you.
Yeah. It's been an interesting space to come into, this kind of like rounded interior, a shell within a shell. It's been very fun to play with and see how our work settles in.
Oh, yeah.
Glad to have the time to kind of be here and be in the space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we had the advantage, and this is unique because we were catching up beforehand, and I don't always have the opportunity to view the exhibition before I end up sitting down with folks. And it's been nice because I've had a nice little walkthrough, and we've gone through and I've had a very intimate tour from both of you where you were able to point out some different qualities of your works and the exhibition as a whole. But one thing we did not talk about was the roundedness of the interior. And how that lent itself, or maybe posed a challenge to the exhibition. So the roundedness of this interior, did that provide you with new opportunities, or did you come in and say, oh, how are we going to handle this?
It's something we talked about with Professor Joshua Hobson quite a lot as we were planning this exhibition. This has been in the works since 2023 when Meagan and I first started speaking about this show, and something we were so excited about. There's a central feature and an anchor at a very high point in the center of a room. always thinking about what can we bring to the ceiling of this space. We have like a turret feeling almost. What can we flexibly like wrap around a wall? Like what are the rules of textiles and how can we really make this spot like sing? Very exciting.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think just the curvature of the space just lends itself to the work. And you can see a lot of those just curves in a lot of the works and the edges of the works. But yeah, it's an odd space. A very, it looks like a church kind of too. Just the point of it, and
there's a second floor that you can kind of spiral upwards into to look down into the exhibition. So you have this great vantage point of really seeing the whole exhibition from a bird's eye view, taking it all in context, and then also being able to get really up close. Really like, I don't know. We talk a lot about tides, whirlpooling around. I'm really curious how viewers are going to maneuver through this space.
That's a good, yeah.
And did you do that yourself? Did you view the exhibition from that vantage?
We did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've never been able to view my work from such a high point before, but having such large scale works and small works too, it's really interesting to see it from that viewpoint. Just the scale
special
of the
place.
Work. Yeah.
And the roundedness of the interior probably accentuates a certain component of your work that we had been discussing. We had talked about the traditional kind of rectangular framing or square framing of a lot of textile art, whereas your art, Meagan, tends to have these undulating edges that are very, very intentional. And there's one piece in particular that that is tessellated in that it was divided so that it takes on the dimensions or evokes kind of this archetype of the river.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you could talk about that and some of those non-traditional edges of your work.
Yeah. So that piece is actually titled Diagonally Dazed. And I think the rectangular aspect of weaving, I was kind of getting just stuck on that. My work and the forms felt very contained, and I wanted the forms to kind of expand beyond the edges of the work. And a way of breaking that straight edge and creating a wavy edge was by creating, like physically cutting into the cloth and creating a wave. Or like this piece you're talking about, I created a tessellation and used the entire cloth, cut it in half diagonally, and then moved the pieces. I don't know how you would describe it, just like next to each other.
You can see them almost assembled like a puzzle piece.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle, and I think that's just a fun game of trying to figure out how to use the entire cloth without wasting any of the fabric and creating an edge that's different from your traditional straight, horizontal, vertical edges that also complements and accentuates the forms that are happening and the movement that's happening within the piece, like a river. It's not straight. It has kind of a meandering edge to it, and
the image within really supports that composition.
Totally, yeah.
We talk a lot about how fabric producing a textile is about living within a grid. There's a vertical thread, the warp, that is always tight and straight, always going up and down.
In terms of terminology, the vertical thread is the warp.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the weft is the thread that travels amongst warp threads. It goes from left to right. I always say weft goes left, then right.
Yeah.
And Meagan's doing a really exceptional job of kind of taking that grid, that structure, composing a web that is both self-contained and image-based, and then breaking that grid, something weavers often think of as being very risky.
Yeah.
It's very exciting to see.
Yeah. And threads, I mean, they're not all, what did you say that they were? Tense? Or they're always
under tension, the warp.
Yeah. When they're not on the loom, they're not always straight and under tension. So they can both be tense and loose and relaxed. And I like that.
The reality of fabric is very hard to deny. It's soft, it's moving, it's foldable. It's something that, it has its own life, and it's really exciting to see all the different ways it can kind of be its own body.
Yeah, but it's also very strong and malleable, and that grid, the kind of fundamental core of it is what we're ultimately, at least what we're responding to.
Right.
So, yeah, it's something fun to push up against those wavy forms, and because it's all, has that grid, vertical and horizontal lines.
To have a rule is to break a rule.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something I love to do.
Yeah.
Well, there's a tangibility to these pieces and to weaving in general or textiles in general, but there's also a physicality to the process itself. And you had made reference to this when we were talking and standing in front of some of these pieces, the rhythmic quality and how, there's almost this flow state of weaving.
Yes. I've had so many experiences weaving on different types of technology. I've woven on 18th century Union looms from like Swedish immigrant households. I've woven on robotic looms in Iceland. In my own home studio, I weave on a 4-shaft foldable 1980s loom. It feels like a sports car to me. I love all these different experiences and what they offer me in terms of labor and body work. I love kind of sitting with how other women of the past have worked, how other artists, again, like break the rules with these machines, these clanks, these tensioners, these foot pedals. It's very full-bodied, and it's also very intimate. As you're weaving, you have this spool of warp being distributed towards you. Your feet are pressing pedals that are controlling the lifting of threads, even when you're working digitally, like the way Meagan is. And then your hands kind of going back and forth in this very strong, very measured way. You're always thinking about, is my left arm stronger or my right arm stronger? Because that will influence the piece.
I had actually never thought of that.
That's why my pieces are always slightly longer on the right side. You can see it in the work, the way that the hem is cut, because my right arm is stronger as I beat each fiber against the last. I have to like really position my arms and focus. But I love that aspect. You really feel like all your faculties are kind of going forward in one flowing gesture. It's very hard for me to stop weaving midway. Because the flow is so important. The tension is so important. The pattern of your dance moves so important.
It is. It's very performative. It's a rhythm. And for me, it's a lot. We were talking about this earlier. It's a lot like swimming too, going back and forth.
And you were a competitive swimmer.
Yeah, I was. So going back and forth with your right and left arm, passing a shuttle, it's a lot like traveling through the water and following a line at the bottom of the pool or a thread that's, under tension. There's a lot of, metaphors for me in my work with that, but the physicality of it and the labor of weaving is very parallel to swimming and being in the water too, and keeping yourself afloat and not really knowing what's beneath the surface and just watching this evolution of threads grow. And I love it. I thought that I don't swim as much anymore, but I thought that I had escaped it, but now it just found me again. Yeah.
Well, you raise a good point, and one that I kind of want to talk about with both of you is this evolution, this artistic evolution, because neither of you really began life in this discipline. You've come here through a sometimes meandering and circuitous path, and so not only does swimming inform your work, but also you began as a painter, as an oil painter.
Yeah, I did. I think Allyce did too, as a painter, right?
Did you? I thought you mentioned printmaking.
I entered my BFA as a painter, and I left as a printmaker.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
okay.
You did?
Yes.
Okay.
I've always been changing things up.
Yeah.
But I studied environmental sculpture and public art in Glasgow. I studied weaving I only started about 10 years ago when I moved to Norway and entered the MFA there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you went through kind of a hills and valleys too.
I did, yeah. It took a long time for me to take fabric out of my work as a metaphor for the body, as a symbol, and actually make a fabric. Some of that is the maybe small amount of representation I saw of textile art in the art sphere. I was always looking for examples, and I just didn't grasp it until later in life. And also the access point, I think, can be a little challenging. There's not as many textile programs that are connected with art schools. Who knows what would have happened if I had seen a studio at that young age, if I could have had a loom all the way back then. But you never know.
So to be clear, you incorporated fiber arts and textiles into your previous work.
I did.
I see. Okay.
Yes,
and so that was your kind of experimental phase before it developed into full-blown being seated at the loom.
I would treat paper like fabric. I would monotype plaid onto mulberry Japanese sheets and then construct flannel shirts and wear them. I would take plastics and different things, melt and gild them and then interweave them into these kind of shelter shapes. It was still very textile. It was still very labor intensive. I was always thinking about the multiple, a small particle culminating into a larger fabric. Just wasn't strictly weaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the physicality of it and touching it is connected.
And the collection. There's always so many little things like ephemera, historical objects, a sheet of paper that found its way all the way from Italy into my collection, becoming a special object. Something I've always really treasured is that history of the archive, of the materiality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is a recurring theme throughout not just your work, but your process as well. I mean, you've made reference to the various looms that you have and the equipment, and this melding or this almost historical approach and making the historical very immediate and very present is very much your MO.
Yes, absolutely. I had a mentor who had a tattoo on her wrist of a chain. I asked her about it. This was in a place where tattoos were really uncommon, and she was just so cool. I had to ask her about her cool tattoo, and she explained that as an artist, she was contributing to a link of feminist legacy. So this chain was her place, her links of knowledge that she had put in. So she had one foot in the past, looking at all the women who'd come before her. She knew where she was, and she looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Where are you? What are you doing?" And I felt so much empowerment and responsibility in that moment. I try to bring other artists with me as I'm going. So a lot of my work has historic fibers in it, things that I treasure that other weavers have spun, have dyed, who have gifted to me, who we've traded for, who are sharing knowledge. It's not just me and my work, and that feels like a real comfort.
Well, one of the pieces in this exhibition incorporates some material that your grandmother gave
My
to you.
great aunt,
Or your
yes,
great aunt,
Lorraine
pardon me.
Armstrong of Portland, yes. She was a really interesting person and a really fabulous weaver. She always had a sheepskin half washed in her bathtub. She was always trading with First Nations groups and being a part of different educational facilities. She was an incredible weaver and one of my favorite quiz masters. Anytime I visited her, she would ask me, "What do you think this loom does?" And if I could guess right, I would get the loom.
The loom? I
The
thought you
loom.
said
Sometimes it'd
yarns.
be a maru dye, sometimes it'd be a frame loom, sometimes it'd be spinning equipment, but I always had to study before I saw her.
How many looms did you get?
Only 5. I wasn't great at all the
You have
tests.
5 looms?
Some are still in my collection, some are teaching aids, some travel with me when I'm doing residencies or small projects.
Oh, like hand looms.
Mostly
Okay,
hand looms
gotcha.
or gravity-fed looms, yeah.
Now, are looms like lenses are to the photographer, where, you end up, it's called lens buying addiction, where people just buy glass because they love having this and they like having all those options at the ready, even though you can only use one lens at a time. Is it the same with textiles?
Oh, totally.
It can be. I don't know, Megan, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, it is. I have 4 different looms in my studio. They're all different sizes, but they do different things.
Yeah.
And
And sometimes you have to take a break from a weaving project to weave a different weaving project.
on another loom. Yeah, and it's completely different, or I don't know. It's like collecting Beanie Babies. You just can't have enough. You just
I think that's the first time anyone has made the loom and
Yeah.
Beanie Baby analogy.
I just
so-
love them,
Yeah.
So I love them.
And are you usually working on multiple pieces at a time because, having multiple looms affords you this opportunity, or do you tend to concentrate on one at a time?
I bounce between them because, again, weaving it takes so long. I mean, I'm working on a huge tapestry right now on one of my looms, and it takes forever. So I kind of go and I do watercolors, or I'll work on the digital loom, which is a lot faster. It's significantly faster. It's still a hand tool, but it's just really whatever state of my mind I'm in. I have to move between them. It's hard for me to go from start to finish. Even though weaving is linear, I don't stay on the loom and finish from start to finish. I'll tend to take breaks and then come back to it, and like a painting, stepping back from it, working on something else or looking at it from a distance. But you can't really do that with a loom, unravel it and the weaving. Do you do that with your work?
Often as I'm weaving one piece, it sort of means my mind has settled on what the piece is, and I'm just in the fabrication stage. So my conceptual mind is able to be active while I'm weaving the technical side of things.
Yeah, you have to work
So
both
the
of
nice
them
thing
at once.
about weaving, if you give yourself enough warp, enough of those vertical threads that are set up on a loom, Megan, you do this very well. You can weave one piece and in your mind formulate a variation, an alternative, a next. And that's when experimentation can happen. That's when progression can happen. That's when a risk can really happen.
Yeah.
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 It's something I'm always trying to incorporate into my work,
The
like
spontaneity
a warp
aspect?
that can have multiple lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
One piece, it will inform the next. The next will be completely different after that.
Okay.
And I won't really know how different or the same or unique things will be until the whole work, the whole long list of artworks are cut from the loom and I can see what I've done.
Yeah.
It's a really exciting moment.
Yeah, and this is a
Yeah.
topic that came up when we were in
It
the
was.
gallery about the focus or the limited window that you have on any given piece at any given time. And so much of the piece is kind of spun up and then therefore invisible.
Yeah.
So you really have to work with a larger conception in mind, but you're really only privy to whatever is kind of in front of you at that moment. And so it's not like necessarily a painting,
Yeah.
which is an analogy I kept drawing. It's not like a painting where you can step back and say, okay, this is where I'm at, and I'm going to add a little bit more here and a little bit more there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's both this micro and this macro
Yeah.
perspective on things.
Yeah.
And we're both very committed to the enmeshed web of fibers. Like neither of us really add onto a piece once it comes off the loom. Things
No.
like embroidery or embellishment. We try to make all of our actions part of the weaving process. So our image, the web, our colors, it all happens line by line, inch by inch, slowly coming towards us as the warp spools towards us. That was a great word. And then gets captured again in our tensioners.
Yeah.
So as we're weaving, you'll really enjoy this. You can see, or just imagine, like from the bottom up of most of our pieces, wow, they only saw like 2 inches of that.
Yeah.
And then they did the next 2 inches.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating to see.
It is. I think for me, though, most of I would say 60 to 70% of my work is totally planned out before I weave it. I have a pretty good idea of what it's going to look like, and I can get pretty close to it in a simulation on Photoshop with my digital weavings before they're woven. So as I'm weaving them, I have to like get back on a ladder, especially those large scale pieces. In my studio and go really high up and take a photograph and look at it through the lens of the camera, because it's hard to look at your pieces, especially when they're on the loom from a distance. But yeah, a lot of it's planned on Photoshop, and these simulations, it's not one-to-one like we were saying in the gallery, but because I paint my warp beforehand, that's an unknown. I don't know fully what the color is going to do when the threads are in bundles, but I have a pretty general idea of how the color is going to shift when it is on the loom. But I respond to it with the horizontal threads, the weft. And it's changing, but I know I have most of it planned and kind of controlled before.
Absolutely.
But I do allow for changes to happen, but I think different from you, Allyce, I do have a better idea of what the piece is going to look like as it's being woven.
Yeah, and I go back and forth. Sometimes the warp is enough of a decision for me. Sometimes the structure is enough of a decision. Sometimes it's a very strong cartoon, a drawing that actually I'll hold under my warp, peer through as like a kind of inverted trace. So I can look and then manipulate fibers to really create an image that way.
Yeah.
It just depends on, sometimes the warp will fight that. Sometimes the warp will love that.
Yeah.
And I'm really stubborn.
Yeah.
So something always happens.
It does. And something that, I see on Photoshop, the colors, if they don't turn up in the way that I thought that they would, I'll change them on the spot too, just like you. So if I see visually, oh, this is not working, or if I step fully back from my piece and see that it's not working from a distance, but it looks better up close, I'll change that too. So it's just...
Have you had that moment where you wind all your bobbins with what you think your weft color will be and then realize it's not the right color?
Oh, no, that's risky.
I've done that so many times. I'm like, and these will all go for a future project.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a lot of
all
bobbins.
your eggs in the basket.
Sometimes I'm really confident.
I like that confidence.
Confident but able to walk away. It does happen.
Yeah. confidence in color. Yeah.
So much of the intricacies of the process are new to me, and so I find them really interesting. And I would like to get more into your digital process, but before that, I really wanted to talk about the kind of finished product, what we're seeing hung on the walls or suspended from the ceiling in one case, and just the in your work in particular, the vibrancy of the color. And that's not to say that vibrant colors aren't present in your work, Allyce, but there are some that are a little more muted, where the palette is a little more muted. But you, Meagan, really accentuate vibrant colors in this in this contrast.
Yeah.
So talk to me about this integration of color, and even your outfit, I should point out, is exceptionally colorful today.
It. Yeah.
So you just seem to be all about color, from earrings to hat to shirt.
Yeah. I love saturated colors. I like the boldness of color, but a lot of my colors are pulled from Photoshop. And I mean, I try to match the yarns up to whatever colors I'm choosing in Photoshop. So like artificial colors, you don't see, I mean, where have you seen those colors before?
Yeah, sometimes in like graphic design, high fashion.
Yeah, mostly in design, I would say. So that's where my sense of color comes from, is definitely kind of an artificial space. I like colors that heighten the senses and make you aware, and you're optically responding to it. It does something to you. It engages with you, and you're forced to, respond to it, even though you might be visually kind of upset or kind of persuaded by it. I don't know. I think they're very sensual colors. When I look at those colors, they're feel good colors for me.
They're engaged. They're gripping.
Yeah, they're gripping.
That's the word I
But
would
they
use.
could be triggering for people too. But I think the strong reaction, whether that be, not that things have to be good and bad, but if it's creates some sort of sensation in you, is what I'm going for. And most of those colors are pulled from an artificial space, and colors that we're seeing on our screens and in the digital environments, from apps and just those colors come from that. So my personal experience, and from the experience that we're all kind of having on our devices. And color, my relationship to color it's exciting. I love it. I like all the different color relationships that I can come. I've always been fascinated by it, but mostly the heightened responses is what I search for in color.
Yeah, and you raise a point that hadn't occurred to me until just now, and I was kind of having this revelatory moment when it does. I mean, not just your process, which embraces the digital, but it does seem to be kind of textiles for the digital age that really lean into and embrace the digital age, and especially. Textiles you would think would be almost a counterpoint to the screen.
It is.
But these actually kind of lean into them and in our screen saturated culture.
It does. It totally does. And I love that intersection of craft and tradition and design and technology. And it's like a hybrid of all of those things, just a big melting pot of it. And it's so fascinating to me that you can work in all of these realms. You can work on a loom and be physical with it. You can also work with a computer screen, and I can also draw with my hands and sketch these wavy forms before they go onto the screen. So it's like being extruded through the loom, and I just love that it goes through multiple processes. And I think that's what attracts me to digital weaving specifically, is that I can draw, I can paint, I can weave, I can design on the computer. I can do all of these things. And I'm not just like stuck drawing. And that's why I didn't stay in painting and drawing, because I was like, I need to connect with what's happening now and what's, right in front of me, which is a lot of all of those things. So it just seems really relevant. And I don't know, are you doing those things for the same reasons?
Absolutely.
Or different?
It's interesting. When I first came to digital weaving, which is how I started, I learned industrial digital jacquard in like a factory setting.
And define the process of jacquard.
Right. So jacquard is an image-based weaving process. It usually historically revolves around a punch card. Looms are how we got to computers in the first place, and jacquard is like a French technique that allowed for very elaborate embroidery-like designs. So in Norway, they invented this amazing loom that we both use, the thread counter loom, which is digital, which allows you to make any punch card as elaborate as you want, totally unique thread by thread, that we can then weave with. So I've always had this kind of conflict in my own work. It's like I'm a human in 2026. I use computers, I use my phone all the time,
Yeah.
and I'm still tied to processes that, especially in printmaking, are very material, very historic, very edition oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something about that where I just couldn't bring myself to talk about my current experience. The fact that most information that comes my way is a one off, then I never see it again. I scroll past it. So that vertical scroll, that action we do on our phone all the time, the warp to me lives in that same space.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The moment that happens on the weave, on the weft, that's my experience right now. And as I scroll through it, it changes. I'm somewhere else. I weave as a way to kind of create a window. I spend a lot of time just for like my health of my spine and my eyes. I look out the window a lot. And if I see a grassy field, my loom, my colors start to become more of those grassy greens. I look out and I see a gray cloud, my watery warps really feel the power. That location always kind of comes back in as a stabilizer in the stability of my warp.
Yeah, and the pieces, at least of yours, that jumped out to me in this exhibition, and I feel like more than a juxtaposition, your works are very complementary, but the works of yours have a much more organic grounding. There was one piece out there that struck me as very landscape oriented, and I think were these the Norwegian fjords?
Yes, this is a piece called Dither. Very fun piece that involves clasped weft and mixed fiber verticals and horizontals to kind of create a misty alternative vista, a place that maybe exists in memory, maybe exists in like optical blends. Yeah, a fun way to work.
Yeah, and whereas Megan's work certainly evokes that fluidity, and it's that almost digital or screen interpretation of the fluid or the riparian, whereas your work has these water droplets and other symbols that seem maybe truer in a way to the source or closer to the source, that water-based source.
Yeah, that's interesting. I definitely, when I look at my own work, I can feel my feet touching the ground, and I have the sensation of looking at a horizon. Though image is abstract, there's shimmers and patterns that pull you very close to the surface. But as you step back from my work, I want you to have the feeling, this is my gift, if possible, of a soaring through. There's where you are, there's where you are in your memory, and then there's this relationship to the object. I think that's why my work tends to stay in a rectangle. We already have a lot of relationships to images, to rectangles, and to take that like window frame, soften it, and give it back to you as a place to go. I hope it's a moment of optimism, of place finding for my viewers. It's really interesting to see how that's interpreted and how different people experience that work.
Yeah, and you saying that makes me aware of the fact that, Meagan, even though I've likened your work to kind of leaning into the digital age, that rectangle is very screen oriented,
Right.
and
It's undeniable.
yeah, so there's a consistency there where we have this rectangular window onto things that's persisted even into the screen age, whereas you seem to be breaking out of that by introducing these more undulating edges.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that comparison. And Alyssa's work that acknowledges technology with the edge and the interior is more natural. That's such a great observation. And then my edge is more trying to reach for something that's organic and that it's contained with something artificial. Yeah, that's a great connection. Yeah.
And another thing that you had highlighted about, it's almost a limitation of the digital, whereas you have to work in black and white. So even though your work is full of this really vibrant color, it's mediated through this black and white pixelation, no?
Yeah, the tool reads it in black and white. I can still see it in color on my computer screen when I'm working with them. But I mean, weave structures are black and white. When you're working with weave structures are patterns, and patterns are what we primarily work with in weaving. That's how you create cloth. So I have to think about what's going to be lifted, what's going to be suppressed, what patterns are going to be placed where. But it's a lot of, I like that you use the word coding. At least I've never used that in weaving, but I think it helps people who don't understand weaving, like what
Right.
how to import.
It's an A-B binary function.
Yeah.
So this matrix of black and white squares that the loom reads, it reads, or even me on my hand looms, a black thread is lifted and a white thread is suppressed. So as your weft travels, it goes under everything you marked as a black square. So, and every line of pixels is one thread. So if you're looking at a grid of 300 black and white squares going vertically on the axis, that's a 300 threaded piece. Yeah. You can create all kinds of images, textures, designs this way. It's really fascinating and totally endless potential, even on 4 shafts. It's really amazing.
And very nerdy.
Yeah.
So nerdiness, and that's something that we discussed out when we were out in the exhibition gallery. And this is something that I really I wanted to make sure that we introduce that into this conversation, because one of the questions that I put to you after you had you provided all this technical information that was somewhat lost on me.
Right.
And I worried that this technical complexity and this depth and this layering, and there's all this meaning that is introduced into these pieces through your craft that might only be appreciated by another weaver. Do you worry that that gets lost on the viewers? And so the viewers see they see these textiles, they see the colors, they see the patterns, but there's so much more minutia there that might not be appreciated, and that minutia is very symbolic and very representative.
Yeah.
So is that maybe a limitation of your craft? Is it something that you say, I hope that another weaver appreciates this, but if it can transcend some of those levels?
Absolutely. I think I kind of liken it to like having an amazing plate put in front of you at dinner, wherever you're coming from, wherever your day's been. You have this amazing dinner. You can enjoy the fact that it's dinner. You can enjoy the fact that it's a completed artwork and love it for that. You can enjoy the fact that there's a special salt on this special bite that someone specially hid under a napkin. Like, you can love this tiny symbol. You can love this giant taste. You can love the completed tapestry. You can love this tiny history. Everything is available for the viewer, and whatever depth to which they want to interpret, get into, talk to me about, please do. But I have a lot of comfort in the fact that these objects are inherently familiar. They're inherently soft. We all have personal histories with cloth and fabric. Maybe there's a great aunt who weaves in your family. Maybe there's someone who knits in your family. Maybe it's you doing like quilting collage. Everyone kind of has some function with fabric, even outside of fashion, that can just be enough to kind of invite you in, and then maybe allow you to kind of deepen those relationships. Like, oh, I actually recognize this pattern from a hand towel I randomly have. I've had that moment with someone. Or, oh, I forgot that when I was a kid, my job was to hold the warp for my grandmother as she spooled her loom. I totally forgot that's how I used to spend my Saturdays. It was so boring. I love these stories.
But I think that's the barrier. Right?
You
Is that
do?
what you're talking about?
I think it's an entry.
No, I meant like what EJ is saying, like
the full appreciation of these pieces. That's I think that's the heart of my question. There is so much that is lost to me as a layperson, or someone who does not understand the intricacies of weaving. And when you were pointing them out, I thought, wow, this is so rich, and I would not have known this otherwise. So it's that appreciation aspect and being able to appreciate all those facets.
And I say barrier because I feel like there's a misconception. Like, people feel like they especially with craft, have to understand the weaving or understand ceramics or glass, or how can I understand how this is made before fully appreciating it or viewing it as art. And I think weaving it's having a comeback now, and it's becoming more a part of gallery spaces, and it's having a moment. And I think that the more that it's kind of institutional spaces and out in galleries, the more people will accept it and not have to understand how is it made, like
Right.
But it is complex. Visually, it's very complex, and it's not something we, like what you were talking about, Allyce, that we often think about how our clothes are made or how our kitchen towels are. This is a domestic item in a gallery space. What is its purpose here? Let's think about how it's made first, because it's not a painting and it's not a whatever else, it is hard to understand. I mean, there are thousands of threads. How do you visually take that in? It's a lot. It's complex. But I think that's what attracts me to weaving so much is just the organization of so many components coming together in a very structured way, but you can make it appear as if it's not, or that it's being broken, or
the magic of completion kind of clouds all those layers of transformation and translation.
Yeah.
Right now, Meagan and I have completed 2 exhibitions now together. We have one currently on show at Soil Artist Run Gallery in Seattle.
Oh, good plug.
But I've been very close to this work, and I've had the kind of culminating experience where I've been talking through my process maybe a little bit too much lately. So that educator brain of like, let's talk about it, let's share these details, let's get more people involved is kind of maybe more of my conceptual place.
Yeah.
Well, you note that textiles are having their moment.
Oh, right.
And maybe I'm here kind of generalizing my ignorance or imposing my ignorance on a general populace, but how many of us actually reflect on the fabrics that we wear every day? And I'm sure it's something that you probably do. Yeah. And yet this is something with which we are all intimately familiar. And Allyce, you had mentioned that when folks come into the gallery and they view the work, I'm sitting here kind of rubbing my shirt between my thumb and my forefinger. Right. They want that tactile quality or that tangible quality, and so they understand this. So here it's something that we know almost from birth, from our infancy. We're swaddled in a blanket, and yet this is something that I don't know if a lot of people really reflect on, the various patterns and fabrics and that comprise, just the clothes that we wear every day.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. We're in a moment in time where I think there's a lot of scrutiny towards like the fast fashion market, to like secondhand and long wear materials. The objects that we put in our homes are things that people, we want to have control over. We want to have relationships to. Heritage objects that do and do not like last generation to generation. It's fascinating to see where we are in this moment in time. Neither of our works deals specifically with like objects of the body, like clothing, shirts, trousers. Things like rag rugs do come into my work. I worked with a farmhouse and historical site, the Mary Olson Farm in Auburn, Washington. Currently have work about that up right now at the Postmark Center of Art, where I was studying historic rag rug techniques as a way for women in particular to kind of control their own industry during the Great Depression. And these objects that have lasted and been used and repaired, I'd love to see it come back. I'd love to see this kind of artwork that we're doing now in the gallery. Maybe not if you want to be inspired to make art about it, that'd be great. Yeah. But also if you want to weave for your life, that would be fabulous. There's a lot of points of entry on this medium that can really help you strengthen the relationships to the objects in your life. Yeah. It's really exciting.
Definitely. Or even with other mediums too. Like just with the intersection of painting and weaving as well.
Right.
But yeah,
and another thing that we had touched on that I think is really important is this the communal nature of weaving and the fact that it's an activity that you probably pursue as a solitary activity or in isolation, but it's also something that can be done in a group. But you're relying a lot on the wider weaving community to solve problems, to point you in the right direction when you encounter a challenge. So can you talk about that communal nature of weaving? And out in the gallery, we had talked about its metaphorical qualities, because here we have an art form that very much mirrors the interconnectedness of the community that practices it.
Yeah. I mean, I speak to so many of my friends. It's not gate kept like some other mediums are. But what were we saying about the designers sometimes do that with specific patterns? Like, this is mine.
Weaving is a non-proprietary art form. It's so ancient, and it was started by so many cultures at so many different points of history that it feels very permissive. And like there's so many ways to solve a problem, whatever that problem may be. Yeah. It's really nice being able to very freely ask a question, share a material, pass on a lump of yarn that maybe you don't need anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really great for that.
Yeah. Or just troubleshoot. I will be up till like midnight troubleshooting with some of my friends with certain things and weaving, but it's nice. Like I couldn't do that with painting really. I mean, other than talking with a colleague or a professor, but yeah, it's a lot of my closest friends are weavers, and we're just a group of nerdy weavers.
Do you have a special database of thread structures of bindings?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Gosh, I
do
have so
too.
many patterns. Yeah, and you share them, and
Yeah.
there's just a library of weaves that you share with your friends, or that you can purchase through workshops,
Right.
or it's just very
Yeah.
you want to share these techniques. And
The Seattle Weavers Guild has an annual event where someone will weave meters of cloth, describe exactly what pattern they use, what fibers they used, cut up 1 inch by 1 inch squares, and mail them to everyone in the guild as like a study example. And I love getting these in the mail. I love touching them, thinking about them, and then maybe I'll use that structure, maybe I won't, but it's just such a nice like contemporary chain letter. I mean, the organization's been going since 1904 and we're still doing this. It's so sweet.
So here we have those nerdy qualities that I was talking about. And I realize that there is just this depth of information and depth of craft that it could take easily
your whole lifetime.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to be in this forever. There's so much to explore.
Yeah, we just started.
Yeah, but as a viewer, I so value this because it helps me appreciate all of the pieces on display, and then future textile exhibitions that I go to, I can look at it as more than simply the finished piece. Like there's that appreciative element.
Oh, like the history behind it, or what?
Well, it's not just the history, and here too. I mean, we talked about how this is a theme throughout your work, Allyce, where it's this kind of echo, or this historical echo, or this palimpsest of techniques and traditions that's very present in your work, and just your mindset, but also just this depth of techniques and patterns, and the appreciation of that. When I look at some of these pieces, again, to refer back to our earlier conversation when we were observing some of these, the fact that you were able to point out to me that there were elements that were possible in your work because it was digital, that I wouldn't have realized that. And whereas Allyce was working within much stricter parameters in order to achieve the same effect.
Right. Yeah. And how important is that to understand that this is created from
a long conversation.
I know.
We talk about this all the time. It's a hard one. Yeah.
But I think it's interesting that when you look at the work, do you see the labor first, or do you see what is it that you see first as a textile?
And this is going to be very, very subjective, because this is just me bringing me. But as a viewer, I tend to take in the work as a whole, and then zoom in on a little more detail and say, how was that accomplished?
Okay.
And I think that lends itself to your work, because you were speaking to this, the intended effect of some of your pieces is to leave someone almost overwhelmed.
Oh yeah.
With patterns, with color, with shape, and to look at that and say, okay, how do I get into this?
Yeah.
And
where are you gonna start?
And so I think me as a viewer with your work, maybe that's kind of your ideal, because then I start getting in and saying, okay, how was this achieved?
Yeah. 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 And I think the color probably creates that overwhelming effect. But I think that's something I am trying to work past, is seeing the labor first, or appreciating it only because of the labor aspect, which you should, but.
And we do for all kinds of art. That's why I think right now, like having the real experience of seeing something made by hands in a real physical space is so special.
Yeah.
As we're getting further apart from each other, as we're spending more time touching shiny glass instead of soft things, anytime we can bring people together is very important.
Definitely.
And then again, that question of complexity and purpose. It's another deep question.
Yeah, and if I could cite an example that I think highlights this, is the difference between some of your pieces, Meagan, and the jacquard piece, Allyce, that you had done, which has actual lettering, identifiable lettering on there.
Yeah.
And this is a blown up view of skin under a microscope.
Yes.
And you've achieved this through the jacquard technique.
Right. So this was a piece that was woven at a factory called Invik Selgren in Western Norway. I was a part of a team running a factory floor of an upholstery factory. It was very exciting, but it's a very dense cloth. The colors in it are magenta, gray, black, white, and this kind of indigo blue. It's a variation on CMYK, that like digital color spectrum,
Yeah.
to create all wide range of tones. This piece has 21 different thread patterns undulating across the surface. So you have a very detailed, it almost looks like marble or like a slab of granite, this like flecked color field with then these words superimposed over the top. These words speak to, again, that micro macro, skin as a particle, skin as a surface, skin as a layer that has all kinds of depth to it. Like you don't really know what's under there. And then you also have these words that are associated back to the process of standing and waiting for the weave to be completed. It's the only process I use where my hand is at the origin of the work and not at the finish line. My skin touches the computer and then it touches the cloth. I'm very removed from the object.
Yeah.
And I've tried to rectify that by sewing into it, by putting my own words into it. It's very casually like cut with scissors, still in a rectangle format, but it has a fray to the edge. It's hung by grommets. It feels that kind of dorm room poster installation that I feel like frees it from some of those more domestic situations. It's definitely not a flag. It's definitely not a painting. I don't know.
I like it that it lives in these multiple spaces.
Yeah.
Like,
thank you.
Yeah.
And a captioned image, again, like comes back to the screen in so many ways. And comes back to even like the history of art with like the way we write about it with a little label right next to it. This is a person, brackets, person that's self-contained. It has its surface, it has its depth, it has its statement already kind of embedded. It's fun to make.
And as we close, one question that I realize that I have not put to either of you, and the exhibition kind of raises this question, is Tidal Loop. What does this mean? Was this a title that you jointly decided on? And how do these pieces speak to that?
Right.
Yeah. I would say, I guess I see a lot of these pieces as voids or entries into spaces where you can loop physically or I guess artificially back to the screen or back to a physical space. I think it's like the connection between like I'm just thinking of artificial and natural and those two
that
things.
loop on a media player, that thing that returns again and again, the tide of a sea, something that with different intensities returns to the same entry point.
Oh, that rhythmic quality.
That rhythmic quality. We talked a lot about different titles that explained repetition, the micro macro, and then the flow of production. And seeing that, I mean, I'm very privileged in the fact that I can see a little sliver of the Puget Sound through my weaving studio. So watching these waves come towards me, feeling like I'm in this like loop of tradition, going back in time, going forward in time. That refresh of a screen where a fresh image comes back to you, maybe with new information.
Or the physical movement and the fluidity of water and change. And
a very nice thing about this exhibition is as you walk through the space, the colors go from very cool and blue to very hot and orange. As the tide comes in, you get this like sense of warmth. It's a really nice thing. I'm so happy that we got to show these pieces together and really contribute to the curation.
And I'm thinking of tides too. They're controlled, but they're also kind of uncontrollable, right? Or aren't tides? The moon is creating
these like long years of cycles.
So I think it's whether that be ribbons or waves. We're both working with the same rhythm, I think. It's a rhythm.
Yeah, and also that cyclical quality, like, textiles is coming back into view now. And so it's having its renaissance.
It totally is. Yeah.
Well, this exhibition was noteworthy for several reasons, but one of which is because textiles are a little more niche than, and I don't mean that in the pejorative sense. It's just a less common, less exhibited art form, and so it's really cool to see
especially
this.
digital weavings too, weaving specifically. So
Cool. So I warned you about this beforehand because I knew that you might not be prepared for it. So I'll let you brace yourselves. So this is the lightning round.
Oh, God.
Okay. It always begins with an either or.
I could take it.
You
I'm
want to
ready.
take it? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather have a long dinner with someone whose politics you detest,
Oof.
or go to a very long rock concert from a band whose music you can't stand?
100% the rock concert.
The rock concert?
I want to have a
Oh.
bad, loud time. I love it.
Okay.
That's the Seattle in me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
If it can be
gosh.
crowded and smell bad, I'd have the time of my life.
Megan, you get the same
I'm
questions.
sorry, I'd go to dinner with the bad. I would. I get overstimulated very easily, and I just sensory overload. Like I get overwhelmed, just like my weavings. So I can't. No.
Yeah, and it's also an opportunity.
would
Maybe
not.
there's reconciliation there.
Yeah.
Maybe there's,
Noise.
some
Yeah.
potential
I mean, I
common
can
ground.
always
Yeah.
go outside for a little break and then
Yeah.
come back in. I can put in some plugs and just pretend cover my hair with it. I don't know.
Just really focus on what dessert comes
I
out
could bring in a
later.
little frame loom and just weave while I'm doing it and zone out.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you're up for this one, and I'm going to rule out weaving as a potential answer,
Okay.
because that's kind of the obvious default.
Yeah.
But what do you have strong opinions about that other people might find frivolous?
Oh, what do I have strong opinions about?
Yeah, are you into like arcane television shows that someone would say, I don't understand why you're soapboxing on this?
Oh goodness, gosh,
And
I
you,
have to think
if
about
Elise
this.
has an answer at the ready,
You go, Elise.
And-
I gotta think.
We've talked about this a lot. Megan's been giving me a hard time, so I can.
Oh yes, I
Get
already
the
know what you're
public's
gonna say.
opinion
I
on
already
this.
know what you're gonna say.
So I am a self-described Luddite. I'm anti-telephone. I'm anti-screen. I wake up every morning to an Enya CD that I play on my Walkman,
Okay,
and I only watch DVDs from the library. Yeah, I'm very strong opinions about breaking up with your streaming services and getting offline.
Okay. Yeah, and some folks
That's a
might
good
find
one.
that hard to do and say, why are you placing
Wow.
such importance on this? Yeah.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
goodness.
I do recommend it.
So, Megan,
Oh, God, I still don't have one.
Do
But
you have any-
I'm
you
gonna
know-
respond to yours. I have very strong opinions about Enya. I do not like Enya. So that's
believe it or not, this is not the first time
Yeah.
that Enya has made an appearance in a
Really?
lightning round answer. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
she
yeah.
sponsoring this segment?
I wish she would. My word. Yeah, no,
Oh.
she has come up. I'm not sure in the context, but I think it has to do with maybe the polarizing nature of her music. But I
Yeah.
remember, a composer brought her up by name.
Okay.
So Enya, who knew?
And he was pro Enya, right? Very pro.
I can't say that he was, but I think he was willing to kind of, find a middle ground with Enya. Okay. So you have
there's a-
strong opinions on Enya, and other people
Yeah.
might find that.
I have strong opinions on. I have to wear socks in the house. I can't be barefooted. I don't want my feet to pick up stuff on the floor. Does that count?
I think that counts.
Strong opinion.
Yeah.
You've made your
Um,
stance, and it is besocked.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess
love
that.
it.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to get a little philosophical, a little theological.
Okay.
I'll go to you since Elise fielded the last one.
first one. Okay.
Do you have a concept of heaven?
A concept of heaven. Eating chocolate every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a very
Oh, you want me to be
caloric-
philosophical though?
You could
Okay.
be, but no. This is
Done.
this is
Perfect
the
answer.
advantage of the lightning round is because I come up with questions and I have no idea how they're going to be responded to, and so if you've picked a very kind of telluric, very mundane version of heaven where it's like
Yeah. Do I
heaven
have
is
a concept of
attainable
heaven?
through a bar of chocolate.
Yeah, through a bar of chocolate, I think floating, being airy, weightless,
hmm
and
So you
not
don't-
being heavy. I think that's my concept of heaven.
So you don't have a heaven per se, like an
No.
idea of kind of pearly gates. You've got it's
No.
more of an experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an action, I think.
Okay.
Feeling weightless or buoyant,
Okay.
kind of floating, and the water is like that too.
Heaven is a state of being.
It is a state of being.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Being
the portal
transparent.
and the portal is chocolate.
Yes.
Okay.
The portal is chocolate. And the portal is chocolate. You have to have chocolate before you can become weightless. Yeah.
And now our Luddite over here has phone in hand.
I'm so sorry. I was double checking a Finnish pronunciation of an author's name.
No,
Yes.
no, that's
Sorry,
good.
sorry. Yeah.
Mustering your technological resources.
It
for
hurt.
the
It hurt
line.
me to do it. I was right all along, but I was insecure.
Your face is so red
So
right now.
sorry. I'm so called out.
So concept
Okay.
of
Concept
heaven.
of heaven.
And as we discussed, this doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to be a place. It can
Right.
be
Anything.
Yeah, it's working at your own speed, being in your own space, having time to really like think and get deep is kind of my ideal like heaven scenario.
Oh.
The story of a beautiful cloud where you have all your wishes granted sounds fun for about 2 days, and then I got to go do something. So I was thinking about Tove Jansson's Norwegian pronunciation on that name, I'm sure. The creator of Moomin, she wrote a really beautiful book called The Summer Book about her childhood growing up on an island on the archipelagos of Sweden.
Yeah.
The labor that they did as a family, the relationships that happened on that like sunny, like boat-powered lifestyle that really suits my kind of vision, where you're still working, functioning,
magical.
making. Magical. Yeah. Some of that water, some of that air, some
We
of that
both have
perspective.
water in our heaven.
Yeah.
Well, and that is
thirsty.
definitely conveyed through these pieces. So,
Thanks,
you know,
yeah.
when we're looking for again, I'm sure you get these metaphors all the time. When we're looking for a thread, we can find it there.
Very punny.
Okay, final question.
Yes.
Lisa, this is going to be you. What is the lamest superpower?
Lamest?
When you think of
God.
the
Oh.
when you think of the constellation of superpowers, you know, you can fly, you know, you have heat vision, that sort of thing. And then there are people who have rubbery arms. Can you think of the lamest superpower?
Yeah, I feel like I have the rubbery arm ones down. That feels relatable
Is that one
already.
you-
I don't know. Megan and I are both tall, wibbly people. Yeah. I don't know. That's a really hard one. I feel like I'd have a use for whatever. Maybe X-ray vision. I feel like you could just walk to the other side of the wall. Might be not so useful.
You know, that is a good candidate for lamest superpower.
Just walk over there, man.
Yeah.
Go open the blinds.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lamest superpower. I don't know. This one's
How versed are you in your Marvel and DC
not at all.
universes? Okay.
Do I
okay.
have to pick a Marvel character?
No. I would just you can draw on them for superpowers.
I think shrinking and like being really tiny. Is that the Ant-Man?
That would be Ant-Man. Yeah.
I think that's pretty lame. Like, what would you do with that?
Yeah, I mean, they
Good
try to
question.
get some mileage out of it in the movies and the comic books, but I don't know. Yeah, when we're coming up with candidates for lamest superpower, being able to shrink, like
What's yours?
I just come up with the questions. I don't come up with the answers. But I was thinking more like Plastic Man. Like he always struck me as just, you know, what do you do with this technology? And again, the cartoons and
You made so many good jokes. I feel
Wait,
like
isn't
that's
that in The
power.
Incredibles? The stretchy, the mom?
Yeah. And again,
But
they
that's-
find uses for that, but I
Yeah.
mean, they're kind of contrived uses.
This is
Yeah.
the
Aren't
problem
they?
with asking artists this question is we love like, what could you do? If somebody gave you like a room full of rubber bands right now, like what would you make? If you had this superpower, what would you do? It's always like, we got something. Everything's
I guess-
useful to us.
Oh my
We
goodness.
could find practical uses for
Yeah.
even the lamest superpowers, but there are some that are, you know, a
Yeah.
little less necessary than others. So.
Yeah.
Doesn't Ocean Man or Aquaman, my goodness, pardon me.
Ocean Man.
Aquaman, doesn't he just talk to fish?
I think he has other powers as well.
That's
Yeah.
pretty useful, at least.
Is it?
Yeah, the fish know where everything is. They could like guide you.
Do they want to talk to him?
Maybe they could tell him where the treasure is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll entertain it.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Never know.
Yeah, this isn't my specialty.
Well, I want to thank you both for indulging me in the lightning round, as well as the interview that actually covered things of substance, including this
Yeah.
exhibition. So, yeah, I'm glad you're here. And, thank you so much for organizing this or helping to organize this
Yeah,
exhibition.
thank you for your time. It's really, I think, a time for us to be reflective too and to think about things and just your observations as well. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's been really nice speaking with you.
This has been A Line Around Your Thoughts. My name is EJ Iannelli, and this week my guests were the textile artists Allyce Wood and Meagan Smith. You can see Meagan and Allyce's work up close in the Tidal Loop exhibition at the Eastern Washington University Gallery in Cheney. The exhibition runs there until April 3rd. Opening times and gallery info are online at ewu.edu. You can find Meagan's artist portfolio at meagansmithstudio.com, and that's Meagan spelled Meagan. More about Allyce and her work is at allycewood.com, and Allyce is spelled Allyce. As we close, a shout out to our founding sponsor, Rogue Heart Media SPC, proudly rooted in Spokane and supporting our community with media that makes a difference. For more, visit rogueheart.media. If you are interested in becoming an episode or a season sponsor and keeping these conversations going, please reach out through our website at alaytpodcast.com. And to show your support for A Line Around Your Thoughts and join the conversation, become a part of our Patreon community. Check out our page at patreon.com/alayt. You can also get updates and engage with us on Mastodon at alaytpodcast@pnw.zone, on Blue Sky at alayt.bsky.social, and Instagram at alayt_podcast. Until next week,